Hey guys, happy Halloween to everybody. Welcome to Reg's Readings. I have a very spooky book for you today. And it's not quite Halloween yet, but just about. And this is entitled White Line 2, Man-Eater. Let me just read the copy. Victor de Beers, Dutch expert, big game safari hunter turned manhunter, must solve a baffling, disturbing missing persons case in the UK involving two young women. Victor happens to know one of them, so he takes the case. However, when he begins to investigate and unravel the mystery revolving around the missing women, he comes to quickly realize that this is no ordinary case, missing persons case, and the people that he is after connected to the missing women are untraceable, undetectable, and very powerful and dangerous ghosts. I say that right, ghosts, in the sense they cannot be located by natural means. Has to be supernatural. Not even New Scotland Yard and Interpol have no such luck pinpointing them. Victor enlists the aid of his old hunting companion and his uncle, a great shaman from South Africa, who can powerfully see what others can't. A paranormal psychologist, and last but not least, his fiancée, a special FBI forensic investigator. The task force uncovers something so nefarious, dark, and hidden that has been unseen for thousands of years. We must stop one of the greatest evils before a point of no return arrives on all of humanity. Okay, so I'm going to read from chapter 16. Okay, so I'll read a few pages, 3 or 4 pages from chapter 16. It goes, a most definitely disturbing report of all time came into the hub core of New Scotland Yard in London early this morning. It was a Thursday morning and Inspector Chancellor was frantically pouring through the newly obtained information from the supercomputer's server. He uploaded data to Iris, the main supercomputer, and then downloaded to his dedicated notification workstation in his office. It was reported by a sole survivor of one of the worst tragedies in Dubai's young history to victims' emergency response services, or BERS, of that particular city and country, where a confidential file was created and shared with the Yard. It was determined by Interpol as highly suspicious and valid to share with the Yard, as they were looking for the same MO and similar details of the cannibal ring case back in Leeds. This was where pertinent information was entered into an Interpol file for flagging any future crimes or incidents fitting those particular criteria. Charred bodies were determined to be cannibalized before the remains of them were burned beyond recognition. By the time the terrible fire was put out, over 3,000 people had lost their lives, of which hundreds had died, even before the fireplace had started. Before he would share any of it with the rest of the team, he wanted to verify that this brand new data was and is indeed authentic and not fake news of any kind. Iris quickly authenticated the data as genuine and the news source from Dubai being trustworthy and credible, previously intercepted by Interpol's Serious Crime Unit. He would get the team together as soon as humanly possible and would be on the next flight out to Dubai. Then there's a new title, it's called Downtown Dubai at the Burned Out Skyscraper. Victor May and the rest of the yard team had to take the fire escape stairs route up to the 4th floor as the elevator was under repairs from the intense heat of the blaze from the ground. It looked as if the whole 4th floor blew out from some incredibly powerful bomb blast or explosion of some kind. All the windows were blown out, and all that remained were black and charcoal impressions in their places. These impressions were far-reaching, almost all the way up to the 5th floor, as if there was some dark phantom's calling card. But outside, the steel and tempered glass was blackened and discolored in the fire's wake. Jesus Christ, that is some kind of fire damage. I don't think the people had a chance, Victor commented, eyeing the burned-out 4th floor of the monstrous building. Apparently, they were locked in and blocked from every fire exit. Someone made sure they were fish fry, Inspector Chancellor offered. Oh my God, those poor souls, May responded with a grimace look and then a deep sigh. Let's go and meet the Interpol investigation team. They have taken control of the crime scene. We have not moved anything from the CSI, so I have to warn you all, it won't be a pretty sight. But we have all seen death. It goes with the job. Shall we proceed? It was 4 in the afternoon on Thursday. The team exited the Hotel Dubai courtesy shuttle after they dropped off all their baggage for an overnight stay. Their return trip back to London would be tomorrow. Once they finished climbing 4 floors of the fire exit stairs, they arrived at the crime scene. It was sheer gory mayhem. A melee of hundreds of charred bodies strewn about, and then there were the Interpol photographers. There were 4 of them, 3 men and a woman. They were identification black jackets. They wore identification black jackets with the letters Interpol in bold white letters. The massive room was covered with death, and it was not the end of the death either. The smoke inhalation trapped thousands up above the burned-out floor to the 18th floor, or to the 8th floor, as they could not escape the smoke that seeped up to the top floors. So in all, some 3,000 perished in the blazing fire disaster, which turned the building into a raging inferno. By the time the fire trucks arrived to contain the blaze, it was too late for thousands. One Arab man in his 40s lived in an executive penthouse-style suite with indoor swimming pool, bowling alley, and massive billiard room for adult games, high above the 8th floor. Performed a daring rescue for one man that was yelling and screaming for help to be rescued from the 6th floor. The man on that penthouse floor took down all his massive scarlet-colored satin curtains from the windows in his suite, tied them all together, and threw them over his balcony to the sole survivor male that managed to climb up 6 floors from where he was to the safety of the man's posh executive suite, where he reported the disaster immediately. He was the only one from the birthday bash that survived. There were thousands of others in the building at the time, but they were not affected whatsoever as they lived very much higher up past the 10th floor. There were over 300 floors on the behemoth skyscraper of a building, but this one was the tallest of tall skyscrapers in Dubai. Some buildings were so high and gigantic that this one was well dwarfed in comparison to the skyscrapers, with over 1,000 floors on them, truly reaching the heavens miles above the ground. As the team drew close to the examination of the bodies, they all noticed something very odd about many of them. They were not complete. Body parts were missing. Some were missing arms. Others' heads were decapitated. Some, their entire torsos were gone, like they had been eaten by a man-eating great white shark. It was truly a gory, very horrid sight to see. Lieutenant Peter Schaefer was in charge of the CSI. He was a peculiar man, mid-30s. He walked with a right limp. His right leg seemed to be a little gimp from an old wound or injury. He was almost the same age as the yard inspector. We have determined that this was the source of the fire, the DJ's electronic turntable sound system. The DJ was attacked from behind. His body fell on the turntable system. It shorted the system, which must have caused sparks, and then ignited on something near it. Something very flammable, like a covered cloth or something like that. This is where it was found. The body cavity and all of this man's internal organs are missing. You see, from the chest down to his waist, there is a huge cavity that is cleaned out. His body block and insides are gone, ripped out of his torso. There is no sign of him anywhere. We have looked every square inch of this room, and they are completely missing. Hundreds of bodies are similar to this. Whatever this was that did this, it doesn't seem to be of human origin. The Interpol head detective informed with a strong German accent. These people are demons in the flesh. They must be. That did this, Victor voiced. The lieutenant stared at the Dutchman and raised an eyebrow with a gleam in his eye. The lieutenant was a dead ringer for the TV detective Colombo, but with blonde, thick, wavy hair that was draped over his scalp, like he just got out of bed. He introduced himself to the yard team and shook hands with every one of them. Okay, that's it, guys. You have to read the book. I'm going to leave to find out more about the story. I'll leave the link in the description below. Okay. Happy Halloween and happy safe Halloween to everybody. Okay. Have a good night. Bye bye.